Hey there and welcome back. In this video we will start to do the documentation, include documentation, and also some very nice testing tools directly into the API. I have the example here from the online API where we can see we have a route called docs on the API, and this will go to something called Swagger. And then we have all the different routes that we can use. And if you search for Swagger, a lot of things will come up here. But if you go to the Swagger IO, we can see that it is an API development tool, a very comprehensive tool to also develop APIs. But the core part of this regarding the API documentation is that there is something called open API specification in different versions here, and this is a specification that will allow you to, as it says, create specifications for your APIs in a standardized way. And this is what it uses here. We have different routes from the API, and this is specified in, you can see, Open API specification 3.0. So this is a very, very nice way to allow the developers and other people to know about how they should interact with the API if they don't have Postman, if they don't have other program to do it with, or a front end. And it serves very nicely as documentation, describes the endpoints. So how can we set this up? So what we need to do, of course, we need to get some modules and we need to write some code here. So very first, we need to, let's just clear this. We need to install some components, some libraries from npm. So the first one we need to do is we need to install Swagger. JSDoc, we can see we have it here, JSDoc, and also something called Swagger UI Express. And the JSDoc from Swagger is an npm module that will allow us to read documentation written in JS documentation and convert it to Swagger automatically. And Swagger UI Express is the actual UI here. Okay, so let's first install this. Okay, so this is good. Then we need to install the corresponding types. And I think I have them here. We can see types, Swagger JS types, Swagger UI Express. And we mark this save dev. All right, so maybe let's just collapse this one, minimize it. Right. So we need to extend the application here, and this is a documentation sort of manager that will take care of this. So I think I'm going to make a new directory here called util. Could be called whatever you want. And inside the util, I want to have a new file. We could call this documentation. It could be called doc controller, whatever, something. But I'm going to call this documentation. And in this file, we need some code and some imports, of course. So first off, we need to get the Swagger UI. If we can find it, let's see if we can find it from, we have Swagger UI Express, yeah. And we need JSDoc. Right there. And then we also need our Express application. Yes. Because the way it's going to work is that we will write a function that will take our Express app, and then it will set up everything regarding the documentation here. So we're going to write a new export function. Setup docs, could be whatever you decide the name should be, app with an application. So now we have a function here. Let's make a header here just to specify that. Documentation here. Okay, so there are different parts to this. First off, we have the Swagger definition we need to do. Then we have some Swagger options. Then we need to do the Swagger specification. And we need to create a new route so that we can actually access this from our API. So this will be the actual endpoint or the route that we can use. So what we will do, first off, this Swagger definition will be a JSON document. And to keep the length down in the video here, I will just copy this document in here and explain what is going on, because otherwise it will take much longer if we should type everything. So I have copied in a big JSON document here, and if we collapse it, let's see here if we can explain what the heck's going on here. So we have this Swagger definition. We specify it's in OpenAPI, the version of it. We have an info subdocument that says the title, the version of our API maybe, and a description. Now I just put some placeholders that you can change, of course. Then we have server, and servers relate to what is the URL, the location for this API. And you can specify a URL that I have here, and then you can specify a description. And we can create more servers. So for instance, in this example here, I have both localhost, I also have an online version. So if we move further on, we can see we have components, and components is a big document here that states we have security schemes and we have schemas. So security schemes is our Auth token. So this specifies how we should authenticate when we use Swagger. So this will say API key in the type, and it will say it's in the header and the name of the API key. And if we go back to Swagger, we can see we get this authorize and these logs here that indicates what routes are protected. And if we click on this authorize, we will be able to put our JVT token when we have logged in. Okay, so that was the security schemes, and OpenAPI and Swagger supports different security schemes if you have bearer authorization or something else. Then we have schemas, and the schemas is just a way to tell Swagger what objects are we using in this documentation. And so I've specified our product and the user with the different properties, and you will be able to find certain NPM libraries that will be able to read from your interfaces maybe or your models and generate this. But some of these libraries are not maintained. It's an evaluation, it's a pros and cons decision if you want to type this yourself and have control of this, or if you want to import an external NPM library that might not be maintained anymore. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing is that we need to create this Swagger options, and we need to make a constant called options. That will be a document also, and we will in this options, we will specify the Swagger definition first off, so the big document up here. And then we need to specify the path to the files containing OpenAPI definitions. So we will put in APIs. Let's see here, and this will be our routes file, but to make this more generic, I'm just going to put this part here so that it will match on whatever TS files we have if we want to create some definitions inside of other TS files than just the routes. But the routes make sense because we will put the documentation just above each route with the specification on it. Okay, so we have the Swagger definition, we have the API with the TypeScript files in it. Let's move on. So the Swagger specification, we will create a constant called Swagger spec. And we will call this the Swagger.js doc. It has a constructor here that will allow us to input the options. So everything that we've specified here. And then finally we need to put in the app, and we will be able to attach our new endpoint. So we can say that we want to mark this as API, docs maybe, or whatever you want to your endpoint to be called. Swagger UI serve we will put in here, and then we will put in Swagger UI setup, and then in that we will put the Swagger spec. So this is the basic setup of Swagger. The definition, the options, Swagger specifications. We could also put this Swagger.js doc directly in here, and then we create the documentation route. Okay, so then we got the documentation TS. It should be set up. I don't know if we start dev. If we have errors, we could have. Okay, so in Nodemon is okay with this. Shouldn't be any errors right now. Yes, so I'm just going to extend this so that you have a chance to actually look what is going on into this. Yes. Okay. So let's go to app.ts because we need to enable the documentation in our start server. So what we need to do is we need, of course, to import our, let's see here if we can find it. We have set up docs here, and we can see the function, and then it will go to the documentation TS and find it there. And then we need to go down to the start server function here to enable our function here. So we have different function calls already. We can see we have the API already. We could put it here, set up docs. And then we can see that we need to input our Express application so that it will be able to attach the route for it. Let's see. Mongoose seems to be angry here. So we have an error here. It says missing or invalid input options APIs is required, should be an array. Okay, maybe if we look into this, we can see we have a lot of node modules. We have one part here. It says setup docs. Let's go in there. It says line 70. Something is wrong here. The options. So maybe it's because it says it should be called options APIs. Maybe that's it. Let's see what happens. Okay. So yeah, a typo here. APIs. It should be called. So right now, let's see if we don't have any Swagger definitions. We don't have anything inside of our routes file anymore yet, but we will. But let's go here to, let's see, we only have this welcome route here, but if we go to docs, let's just see what happens. We have the title, description, we have our server, we have the schemas created, but it says no operations defined in the specification. Okay, so hope you make this work and have fun with this. Bye-bye.